Why develop a new methodology? There are plenty of good methodologies and frameworks available. The idea with the Cloudsarc methodology is to use the best of existing frameworks and combine them in a way that makes sense for cloud security architecture. The Cloudsarc methodology is a compilation of useful frameworks such as NIST Cybersecurity Framework and NIST Guide for Conducting Risk Assessments. The methodology is established as a process for creating a cloud security architecture from business and regulatory requirements. However, the architecture is also a good basis for cloud security governance, the primary focus for this course. As you will see, it all fits together and will result in a holistic process for creating and maintaining cloud security architecture. The methodology is based on a top-down approach using requirements engineering principles and risk assessment methodology. Requirements and risk analysis is central to the approach. The Cloudsarc methodology applies a defense-in-depth strategy and the NIST CSF to create a resilient cloud security architecture. The methodology is inspired by other frameworks and methodologies like SABSA, Cloud Security Alliance, Cloud Controls Matrix, and more. Mapping of security measures to regulations is used to document compliance. The methodology also includes a defense-in-depth graphical view used to illustrate cyber resilience. The methodology shows how governance and operations capabilities use the output from the architecture work. A holistic approach is necessary to be able to document compliance and resilience. A methodology will help you achieve that goal. When you develop a security architecture for your organization or project, you need to communicate your design. A methodology will help you to structure your work, and it will also give you a holistic architecture, covering many perspectives important to different groups of stakeholders. A methodology can integrate different frameworks and security standards depending on the needs of your organization or project. It will always be an advantage to map your design decisions to regulatory requirements so that your work can be used for documenting compliance. Traceability is another important aspect. It's an advantage to be able to trace the existence of a security control to a specific requirement. Last but not least, a methodology will help you break things down and manage complexity better. This will also help you manage risk. Risk management is also an important part of many popular methodologies. Here is a very high-level overview of the architecture process. The process for creating the security architecture always starts with the gathering of requirements. Both business and regulatory requirements that are relevant for the industry are important. The central part of the methodology involves mapping to security requirements. Then we will map from security requirements to security measures. A risk assessment is conducted to analyze risk and to suggest mitigations. These mitigations translate to security measures that will add to the set of measures from previous steps. A cloud security strategy is created to determine how to approach security initiatives. It's also central for deciding what priorities to make. Defense in depth is used to evaluate the security posture. By using the NIST CSF functions and architectural layers, we can get a better picture of how resilient the architecture is. The security and compliance specification is then created to summarize and document the work from previous steps. The cloud security architecture implementation can then be done using the technology platform of the chosen cloud provider. You can, for example, use Azure, AWS, or Google Cloud. You can also use a combination of these if business or regulatory requirements are geared towards multi-cloud. Finally, governance and operations teams use the artifacts of the architecture process to create policies, procedures, and guidelines for cloud security governance and operations. I have made a graphical view for the architecture process. The first step is gathering of requirements. Both business requirements and regulatory requirements are important for cloud security architecture. These requirements set the context for the requirements work. The scope of your initiative will determine what kind of and how many requirements are needed. If you work in a heavily regulated industry, many regulatory requirements are needed to complete this part of the process. The next step is to create the security requirements.
Business and regulatory requirements are mapped to security requirements. The focus will be on the kind of requirements that will cover a holistic information security approach. A risk assessment is performed based on the requirements gathered so far in the process and the scope of the initiative or project. The risk methodology used can, for example, be based on the NIST guidance document for conducting risk assessments. A cloud security strategy is created using output from the risk assessment process and the security requirement process. It's important to think holistically and design the cloud security strategy that will benefit several initiatives and projects. A defense in-depth analysis is performed using NIST CSF functions and architectural layers as a foundation. If gaps are uncovered, they will be inserted into the requirements list and mapped to security measures to further enhance the cloud security posture. A compliance mapping is then created. This can, for example, be to GDPR and to HIPAA. The security architecture specification is completed using outputs from all previous steps. From the cloud security architecture specification, we can implement the architecture in the cloud technology platform. We can't, for example, use Azure, Google Cloud, or Amazon Web Services. The implementation phase, however, is not included in this course, but will be the focus in an upcoming technology-specific course. Cloud security governance, the main focus for this course, is based on all previous work using this methodology. The governance program is created using inputs from risk assessments, security and compliance specifications, and cloud security strategy. I will talk more about the cloud security governance program in the next lecture and how to use a framework for the design of the program. Finally, cloud security operations is performed by the operations team. They base their work on policies, procedures, and guidance provided by the cloud governance team, often called the Cloud Center of Excellence. Security testing is performed by the operations team and should be done on a regular basis. This will give valuable input to the defense in-depth strategy. Experience gathered by the operations team will be used to further enhance the cloud security posture. This can be, for example, from real security incidents or vulnerabilities discovered by the operations team.
Take the comprehensive course to learn more about cloud security architecture. In this course, you will get hands-on experience using the NIST CSF framework for building a holistic cloud security architecture. The course offers downloadable templates that you can use in your own work. Go to cloudsarc.org to get a course discount and discover more resources for cloud security architecture.